I was shocked because it just happened 2 days ago next door.
A car crashes into this restaurant in Boring, leaving the driver dead and causing the building to collapse. It's the second deadly crash on this stretch of Highway 212 this week. We're going to hear more from the restaurant's owner, who says enough is enough. Plus,
as Americans, we do not believe that we should be using U.S. military forces on our streets.
State and local leaders push back against President Trump's decision to deploy the National Guard to Portland. Coming up here at noon, we'll share the text messages between Oregon's governor and the president that shed even more light on the deployment. Then later,
their bill has not one iota of Democratic input. That is never how we've done this before.
There's nothing partisan in here. No policy riders, none of our big party preferences.
The clock continues to tick, but the stalemate continues. We're going to have the latest from both sides of the aisle in Washington, D.C., with just 12 hours to go before tonight's government shutdown deadline. KGW News at noon starts right now. Our top story at noon comes from Boring. That's where a car crashed into the Timber Pub and Grub around 6 o'clock this morning. The driver died and the building collapsed. Thanks for joining us. I'm Drew Carney. KGW's Thomas Schultz has been covering this story for us for the past several hours. Thomas, I know you had a chance to speak to the restaurant's owner. What did he tell you?
Well, Drew, he says that unfortunately this isn't the first time something like this has happened here, and we want to warn you, some of the video involved in this story is disturbing. I'm going to step off now so you can just take a look at the building right here. It's just a hole where that car went into earlier this morning around 6 a.m. Over the years, owner Jeff Paka says the business has been hit multiple times by vehicles. Here's the video from this morning from inside. You can see the vehicle barrel through the front wall of the restaurant and the roof collapse. A couple years ago, Paka says he tried to put up barriers in front of the restaurant, though ODOT told him he couldn't put them up because it interfered with the bike path. ODOT told us there's just not enough room to add barriers like a guardrail, though they do plan to now look at the roadway again to see if it can be improved. Already they've added shoulder strips and a warning about the curve in this highway. Still, this is the second fatal crash in just 3 days here along this stretch. Right next door, a car crashed into a building Sunday afternoon. 2 people died in that crash.
And this is the 4th time our buildings got hit over the years, and now the one next door, and 3 fatalities in 3 days. We tried to take some steps to avoid this, but something needs to be done.
Yeah, something needs to be done, and it's not just Paka who thinks so. People and residents that we spoke to all throughout Boring have said this is a problem area and they want something to happen. Now, take a look at this. This is where he wanted those guardrails to be. You can see ODOT's point. There's just not much room. This is the little narrow stretch of bike pathway that's here. Still, obviously, with crashes happening as frequently as they are here, residents want something to be done, and they say more safety measures need to be taken. Drew?
Thomas Schultz live for us this afternoon with the latest from that deadly crash scene in Boring. Thank you, Thomas. All right, quick break from our news headlines here. We will check in with Rod Hill for just a moment as he gives us a quick look at today's weather.
Well, we have rain coming, but it's taking its time. And Drew, I thought it'd be cloudy right now, but it's not in Portland. We still have sun, and because of that, we've already shot well past my forecast high today, which was 67. I'll tell you, it's 71 right now. Very nice. But the radar is showing things will be changing later this afternoon. Again, forget about this gap right here. That's where the radar is being blocked. So this is all steady rain. Now, slowly moving into Newport, still just offshore from Tillamook, but the rain march is coming our way. Here's the way it looks. Darkening clouds out to sea, but still dry in Lincoln City from the Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera. And looking off to the west, you can see it won't be long before Portland will cloud over. This is out at the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club in Aloha. And looking cloudy if you look down to the south from downtown as well. We are at 71 overall, partly cloudy looking off to the east. Should be raining here mid-afternoon into the 4 o'clock hour, no later than that. Rain in the area during your afternoon drive home and still showers around 8 p.m. But for now, we still have at least 2, maybe 3 at nice hours, Drew, before the rain moves into the Rose City. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Rod.
How about Portland? Portland, Oregon, where it looks like a war zone.
That's President Trump talking to U.S. military leaders this morning, specifically talking about Portland there and his plan to deploy the National Guard to the city. The president also said, quote, America is under invasion from within, and that he wants to use American cities run by, quote, radical left Democrats as, in his words, training grounds for the armed forces. The president made those comments while speaking to hundreds of the country's military leaders at a Marine Corps base in Virginia. President Trump also said the ICE facility here in Portland near the South Waterfront was being besieged by, quote, Antifa and other domestic terrorists.
And I get a call from the liberal governor, sir, please don't come in. We don't need you. I said, well, unless they're playing false tapes, this looked like World War II. Your place is burning down.
KGW was able to obtain a copy of a text exchange from this past weekend between Governor Kotek and the White House. Here's a look. So on Saturday morning, the governor texted President Trump through his assistant saying, quote, I just received your notice to mobilize the Oregon National Guard outside of my control. I believe this is unlawful and unwarranted. You broke your promise to speak with me before taking further action against Portland. The governor said, I'll be in touch later. President Trump responded at that point saying, quote, I notified you to get things in order, and you didn't. They attacked our ICE patriots last night and at other times. If you get your state in order, we don't come. The president also said, everyone knows that Portland has been an unmitigated disaster for years. I won't let that happen in America. Governor Kotek says she then had a 10-minute phone conversation with the president, telling him his view of what's happening here wasn't accurate. So the state of Oregon is suing the Trump administration at this point over its decision to deploy the National Guard to Portland. That could happen as soon as this Thursday or Friday. Both state and local officials say the situation at the city's ICE facility is under control, and they say it doesn't require military force. Here's KGW's Alma McCarty with more.
After an unknown number of federal agents descended on the city Friday.
As Americans, we do not believe that we should be using U.S. military forces on our streets in America.
Another planned deployment later this week, with President Trump calling up 200 Oregon National Guard troops, met with legal action from the state's attorney general.
This morning, we filed a temporary restraining order, which is a motion to get in front of a judge as absolutely soon as possible to talk about the real facts on the ground, not the social media gossip that the president has been spewing all over the internet.
That hearing's now set for Friday at 10 a.m. in federal court. Meantime, Governor Kotek told reporters her team is continuing to do what they can to communicate with the president.
We're going to do everything we can to change this outcome, to try to get some reasonableness out of the Trump administration so we don't have to see this in our communities. We do not need military intervention in the city of Portland or any city in our state.
The Oregon Military Department indicating the earliest Portlanders could see troops would be Thursday.
This situation is not insurrection, does not require military intervention. This is a local law enforcement issue, and it is being handled.
Comments echoed by Portland Police Chief Bob Day.
I'm confident that the resources of the Portland Police Bureau can manage incidents and actions that are occurring down there in South Waterfront.
As for criminal activity at the ICE facility, 2 people were arrested on assault charges Sunday night. Another man was arrested for allegedly shoving a federal officer on Saturday, and federal officers took 4 people into ICE custody after someone aimed a laser at a Customs and Border Protection helicopter that was seen circling over the South Waterfront area. Even so, the chief says these situations do not mirror the protests that many remember from 2020.
What's actually happening in the response that we're seeing both from Portlanders and from the Portland Police Bureau is not in line with that national narrative.
Again, that was KGW's Alma McCarty reporting. Meanwhile, Portland area mayors also pushing back against President Trump's plans for National Guard deployment to the city. More than a dozen mayors around the metro area sent a message of solidarity saying that this is not just a Portland issue. KGW's Thomas Schultz has more on their message.
Mayors across Oregon stressed that National Guard troops are neighbors and friends in communities throughout Oregon. Still, 17 mayors backed Portland Mayor Keith Wilson in denouncing the Trump administration's plan to send National Guard troops to Portland. In a joint statement, the mayors say they will pursue all legal and legislative options to deny their jurisdictions resources from supporting militarized federal actions.
We stand here today to tell the president he's listening to the wrong people. The president cannot watch footage from over a half a decade ago and believe this is the Portland that we're standing in today.
Being used as props to feign safety is actually not safe for anyone.
People we spoke with who live in the suburbs of Portland, places like Lake Oswego and Tualatin, say they appreciate their mayors are speaking out.
Personally, I'm grateful for that united front because it also reinforces what our governor has said about resisting the concept that Portland is war ravaged and we need federal troops.
You can go up to Portland, there's no riots in the streets, there's none of that stuff going on around here. I don't know what he's talking about.
And here in Portland, Mayor Keith Wilson says the justification for sending troops to Portland is either a misunderstanding or a lie. He says if it is a misunderstanding, he hopes it is resolved soon. In downtown Portland, Thomas Schultz, KGW News.
Keep it right here on KGW as we continue to follow the latest on the deployment of the National Guard to Portland. We'll have continuing coverage for you here on TV, at KGW.com, and on our free streaming TV app, KGW Plus.